The private jet sliced through the clouds like a silver arrow, carving its way across the stratosphere. Inside sat a man whose name had once electrified India's corporate world, Vijay Mallya. Often photographed with the world's elite, surrounded by models, sipping champagne, he had built a brand synonymous with extravagance. His empire, sprawled across liquor, aviation, sports, and real estate, had once made him appear invincible. But today, as the engines hummed at a steady pitch, the man inside felt no thrill. This was not a flight of pleasure, this was escape. For years, he had been known as the king of good times. But the good times had come with a staggering cost, a cost now crashing down upon him. As the plane sped toward London, the gravity of what he was leaving behind tightened around him. 17 Indian banks. Nearly 9,000 Indian rupees crore in unpaid loans. Thousands of unpaid employees. A failed airline. A crumbling empire. A nation enraged. This is the dramatic story of how Vijay Mallya rose, dazzled, collapsed, and became one of the most controversial figures in modern Indian financial history. Vijay Mallya was not born into poverty or anonymity, he was born into a dynasty. His father, Vijay Mallya, was a business titan who had taken a relatively modest liquor company, United Breweries, UB, and turned it into a profitable behemoth. When his father passed away unexpectedly, Vijay was just 28. But he wasn't a rookie. He was educated, charismatic, and possessed a sharp business instinct. The board of UB elected him as the youngest chairman in the company's history. From the beginning, Vijay was different from conventional Indian businessmen. He embraced flamboyance. He believed business should be fun, glamorous, and thrilling. He believed branding should be bold and unapologetic. And above all, he believed in living extravagantly. UB flourished under him. Kingfisher beer became the face of the company, a brand built on beaches, bikinis, sports, and a lifestyle fantasy that millions of young Indians admired. Mallya didn't just run a business. He crafted an identity. He created a myth. He built an empire of aspiration. Success came early, and it came big. Money flowed like water, and Mallya spent it like it was oxygen. He bought yachts, palaces, rare cars, vintage aircraft, and priceless art. He hosted parties where international models mingled with Bollywood stars and global CEOs. His calendar was filled with polo matches, Formula One events, yacht parties, and luxury award ceremonies. Newspapers adored him. Cameras chased him. He wasn't just a businessman, he was a celebrity. And Vijay Mallya believed in the power of spectacle. He sponsored sports teams. He purchased the Royal Challengers Bangalore IPL team. He owned the Force India Formula One team. He introduced the Kingfisher Calendar Girls, redefining the idea of glamour marketing in India. The public watched in awe. Who else lived like this? Who else dared to? And perhaps that was when the seeds of downfall were planted. For in his heart, the king of good times wanted more than wealth. He wanted a legacy that would make him unforgettable. He wanted to conquer the skies. In 2005, a new red and gold aircraft glided down an Indian runway with music, dancing, and fireworks surrounding its debut. Kingfisher Airlines was not just an airline. It was a statement. Mallya promised it would deliver the finest flying experience in the world. He hired models as flight attendants, added gourmet meals, in-flight entertainment even in economy, and planes with personalized service that felt like private jets. No Indian airline had ever come close. Passengers were dazzled. The elite applauded. The media loved it. But behind the glamour lay something more dangerous. It was far too expensive. Every business advisor warned him. Low-cost airlines are the future. India is too price-sensitive. Don't burn money on luxury. But Mallya didn't build businesses based on caution. He built them based on dreams, spectacle, and ego. And so Kingfisher, beautiful, luxurious, adored, began burning money faster than it made any. Still, Mallya continued expanding. Still, banks lined up to lend him millions. Still, the brand sparkled. But then, reality struck. Oil prices soared. Competition intensified. Operational costs exploded. And in 2008, the recession hit the world. While airlines worldwide struggled, Kingfisher spiraled. By 2009, Kingfisher was bleeding money. Losses crossed thousands of crores. Employees went unpaid. Flights were delayed, then cancelled. Operations became chaotic. But Mallya refused to downsize. He refused to cut back on luxury. He refused to give up the empire he had built. So he turned to India's biggest banks. And this was where the storm silently formed. One bank loan led to another. And then another. Banks justified the loans because Mallya was a billionaire. His assets appeared enormous. UB Group looked strong on paper. Kingfisher could still be saved, maybe. But most importantly, Mallya had political connections that could shake mountains. Soon, the loans crossed 4,000 Indian rupees crore. Then 6,000 Indian rupees crore. Then nearly 9,000 Indian rupees crore. Many loans were secured against Kingfisher brand value. Non-existent collateral. Shares that were already pledged. Personal guarantees that were eventually challenged. But the banks kept lending. They believed the king could turn it around. Or perhaps they feared saying no to him. In 2012, Kingfisher Airlines went into a nosedive from which it never recovered. Employees protested outside offices. Pilots refused to fly. Unions declared hunger strikes. Passengers were stranded. Airports blacklisted the airline. And finally, Kingfisher's license was suspended. The airline shut down. But the consequences were only beginning. Banks realized their nightmare. They may never recover their loans. And the public turned against the man they once admired. How could a billionaire refuse to pay employees? How could he owe thousands of crores but continue hosting parties? Why was he attending Formula One races while his airline staff struggled to buy food? The media devoured the story. The king of good times became the king of bad loans. In 2014, new political winds were blowing in India. The government announced a crackdown on economic offences. Mallya became the perfect symbol of the rich businessman who escaped accountability. Banks filed cases. ED, Enforcement Directorate, launched investigations. CBI opened a probe. Headlines screamed. Indian rupee 9,000 crore loan default. Vijay Mallya must be arrested. Banks fleeced by Kingfisher. Mallya insisted he was innocent. But every day, public anger grew. The image of Mallya sipping champagne at a cricket match while Kingfisher employees begged for salaries became the defining picture of the scandal. The morning was quiet. Too quiet. At 10:30 a.m., news broke across India. Vijay Mallya has left the country. He had slipped out on a private jet, just one day after banks moved court to stop him from leaving. The nation erupted. People asked. How did he leave? Who allowed it? Why wasn't he stopped? Mallya said he wasn't fleeing, that he was simply traveling for business. But no one believed him. The banks approached courts. The government revoked his passport. The ED declared him a fugitive. Interpol issued notices. But Vijay Mallya was now in London, untouchable, protected by complex laws and a long extradition process. In London, Mallya lived in a mansion near Regent's Park, protected by private security. He continued attending parties. He made public appearances at cricket games. He smiled for cameras. He insisted on Twitter that he wasn't guilty. He argued. Kingfisher failed due to business losses. He never intended to cheat. Banks knowingly lent money. The case was politically motivated. He wanted to settle debts honorably. But India was not convinced. Courtrooms filled with files, documents, loan records, email trails, and testimonies. Evidence pointed to diverted funds, inflated brand valuations, personal luxury expenses paid via the airline, possible money laundering, politically influenced loan approvals. The battle intensified. Over the next several years, India fought for extradition. Mallya fought back with one of the most expensive legal teams in the UK. Every hearing became a media event. Every verdict a national headline. He insisted he was being treated like a poster boy of bank default. He said he offered to settle for 4,000 Indian rupees crore, then 5,500 Indian rupees crore. But the banks wanted the full amount. They believed he had money hidden in foreign assets. They believed he had intentionally defaulted. And so, the legal war dragged on for year after year. While he fought in London, back in India, his companies fell apart. His properties were auctioned. His brands were sold. His shares were seized. Employees moved on, still angry and unpaid. The liquor empire survived, but without him at the helm. The king of good times, who once ruled an empire of luxury, now lived under constant scrutiny. He was still wealthy, but no longer powerful. He was still flamboyant, but no longer celebrated. He was still known, but as a cautionary tale. Vijay Mallya is a complicated figure. To some, he is a visionary entrepreneur destroyed by market forces. To others, he is a reckless billionaire who used the system to live lavishly while leaving debts behind. To his supporters, he is a victim of political vendetta. To his critics, he is the face of privilege, arrogance, and corporate irresponsibility. But one truth rises above all. His story is a warning. His rise shows ambition. His fall shows consequence. He once commanded the skies. He once owned the racetracks. He once defined the dream life. But today, he is remembered for a debt that still haunts India's financial system. In London, Mallya sometimes appears for interviews. He still speaks confidently. He still defends himself. But behind the stylish suits and the calm voice lies a man who lost more than wealth. He lost the airline that was his greatest dream. He lost the trust of an entire nation. And he lost the empire his father had built. He lives in a foreign land, far from the country he once dazzled. A king without a throne. A billionaire without control. A man whose name became synonymous with excess, and its consequences. The Vijay Mallya loan default scam is not just a story of business failure. It is a saga of ambition, ego, glamour, and downfall. A saga of how one man built an empire of dreams. And how it all collapsed under the weight of debt, decisions, and destiny.
For more inspiring stories like this, please like the video and subscribe the Rich Trackers channel.